All right, morning everyone. Welcome to another episode of Trading Bitcoin with your host Tone Vays, coming to you live from Miramar Beach, Florida, where I flew in yesterday out of the craziness in DC, and Bitcoin's going nuts. The political system's insane. I'm here at the house. So far, there's one person here with me.
How's it going, everyone?
Say hi, Socrates. Say hi to Socrates. We're kind of celebrating Bitcoin's all-time high, even though I'm not really in a celebratory mood based on what's happening in Washington. But you're getting a sneak peek at the house. And we're going to, Joe Saz is coming. Well, Fiboswani should be still coming. And got a bunch of people. There's a couple of other people in the neighborhood here. And staying at a different house. And we're, getting together because COVID is just going nuts and people have to see people and hang out. So we're going to be here all weekend when Joe Saz gets here, and hopefully Fibo. We're going to bring you guys a stream with a bunch of traders. It's going to be fun. Shit, can we turn this light on above me? Yeah. That's probably right there, right? Table light, yeah. Nope, the other one. Yeah, all right, got more light now. Yeah, this place is sick. It's like a 10-bedroom house right on the beach. So anyway, let's go to screen share. Here. All right, so real quick, there is no majority. Both Democrats won in Georgia, which is like unbelievable. Considering the Republican won the first time, and then somehow the Democrat won the second time. So this is completely insane. I'm done. I'm kind of scared to live in America going forward. That's what we were talking about this last night. I'm making my plans to get the fuck out. You guys are on your own. I'm actually serious. Like, I know my family doesn't want to hear anything of it, but hopefully my life has about 40 more years to go, and I don't think I'll have 40 years if I stay here. So I'm gonna get out. I really do think the U.S. is heading into civil war, the complete collapse of the U.S. And I'm the guy that was pro-U.S. Up until this election. This election changed everything. It changed absolutely everything. So we don't need to look at this anymore. That's another tab closed that we don't need to deal with. This is my video live from the Capitol. Probably false flaggish events going on. So much misinformation about what was happening there, all over the place. And please cover hyperwave and Consensio with Socrates. We will. Guys, it's just a quick stream because of Bitcoin. We're gonna do a stream together. We're gonna set up for one, maybe either tonight or tomorrow. Probably tomorrow, right? Probably. We got a lot of football tomorrow, though. Yeah. Even though I'm starting to hate sports, like I'm never watching basketball again. Like yeah. Anyway. Check out my stream from the Capitol. I was there streaming. I wish I had better quality for you. I don't know how people. I'm just not good with quality. It's. I'm gonna get to Bitcoin price in 1 second, guys. I know everyone's here for the Bitcoin price. Eventually, when I get the fuck out of the U.S., I'm not gonna care about politics. I'm not gonna. It'll be just economics and finance. But yeah. So if you go to my Twitter, is this my Twitter? That is my Twitter profile. Like here's that video of that girl being shot, and there is people are saying that was faked. The guy points and shoots somewhere else. Anyway, we're not gonna show that on my camera. And these guys are Antifa. This guy, I don't know if he is or isn't Antifa. I have no idea how he got in there. I did speak to him earlier. Like here's high quality video. Look at this. I gotta learn how to do this kind of stuff. I mean, look at the quality of this. You can literally like pick out people's faces. I was filming from the other side. I was back there. I was in the back of this crowd filming from over there. But just like the quality of this is incredible. Like, how do you even get this angle? But this is what was happening. But this is the back of the Capitol. This is not where these people got in. These people did not get in through that back end of the Capitol. They were apparently let in the front door. Anyway, this is what was really happening. This is how many people there were. And this thing extends. This is the center. So what you see on the left side, there's people in trees. I was standing back there. We were actually right here, but it got so crowded and so packed that we made our way to the back, because in the back you have the hill and you can actually see the screen better because you're looking at it from the hill. And this thing extends all the way to the right, and it extended further to the left. Anyone that says there wasn't over 1 million people there, they weren't there and they're lying. They're straight up lying because they weren't there. Anyway, let's go to the price of Bitcoin. I'm getting so sick of this, these politics. America's done. America's done. American way of life is done. Say hello, communism. Say hello to communism. Trump was your last hope to prevent the full-blown socialist globalist agenda. Trump was the last hope, and the media demonized the fuck out of him. I hate Republicans too. I hate Republicans almost as much as I hate Democrats. But I was a one-issue voter, Trump. That's it. All right. So more fucked up news this morning. So neither Socrates nor myself had any idea that Florida has 2 different time zones. And this morning, I woke up thinking that I was going to do this stream around 8 a.m. and then I was going to get out of my GBTC position first thing in the morning, because I know how GBTC trades. GBTC, if I go to the 10-minute chart, actually 5-minute chart, I know how GBTC trades. GBTC goes up first thing in the morning and then falls. But I spent my entire morning trying to figure out if my computer has the wrong clock or my cell phone has the wrong clock, because we thought that one of them was wrong. And what we thought was 9 a.m. was actually 10 a.m. And by the time we figured out what the fuck is going on with the time zones, GBTC already started falling. In addition, the funding rate is horrible right now. So which creates another dilemma. And because of not knowing what time it is in where we are in Florida, I was not able to get out of GBTC at the top. And now I have a little bit of a dilemma personally. Do I get out now? I'm hoping that GBTC makes a new high today during market open, and I will get out of my GBTC because I've made a good chunk of money on this run up. And on a daily scale, where's the daily scale? On a daily scale, we have an MRI top that's going to happen on Sunday. And I don't know if I want to risk holding GBTC through the weekend. We can go higher. We can go to $60,000 on Sunday, but we could also be back down to 35 by Monday. So if we hit a brand new high later today during market open hours, I would be looking to exit at least a fraction or a significant fraction of my GBTC holding. I can always go back in on Monday, but I do think that a correction is imminent because we have just gone up a little too far and a little too fast. And this correction could have already started, or it's going to start this weekend. But I drew this arrow like 4 days ago, whenever I drew it. And I keep extending this arrow higher. But the time of where this arrow was, like there's always price and time. If there's anything you learn from my videos, it's that time matters. Price and time both matter. And I'm still looking for a top this weekend, but this could have been it. Like we don't know. Nobody knows. If we look at the weekly chart, we still have 3 more weeks of upside, according to the MRI, even though we're rising incredibly fast. I now feel that we are rising a little too far and a little too fast. However, since the United States is collapsing, there's really no limit to how high Bitcoin can go. I'm actually not sure why these candles don't because I'm looking at my own live stream and it's like maybe the resolution of my monitor is too high. I mean, I'm on a 4K monitor. Can I make these things like thicker? Can I make the candles thicker? How do I make the candles thicker? I can't make the candles thicker. Too bad. So the daily is technically still bullish, but I'm not as bullish right now because we're just, I think, a little overextended. But at the same time, I missed my GBTC exit because I had no idea, because like we're here. We're right here. And we had no idea that that Florida had 2 time zones. So that really messed me up this morning. Not only missing the market open, but also spending an hour trying to figure out what the fuck is up with the time. And looking at this map, there's some ridiculous irregularities. Like, why the hell is 1/8 of Indiana in a different time zone? like this shit makes no sense at all. Or 1/20th of Texas is in a different time zone. So it's yeah. So this is how we got caught. Well, like why the hell is a piece of Oregon in a different time zone? Like this shit's just insane. Anyway, like Alaska is like half the U.S. and it's a single time zone. I mean, they're normal over there. So anyway, this is the problem we ran into this morning. Any good questions for me, not Socrates? We'll have them on the stream later. Socrates, anything you want to say, man?
Go Bitcoin. Time to party.
On a future video, if you could get Socrates to tell us more about how he feels Bitcoin is going into another hyperwave. A lot of people were asking lately.
Yeah, I would love to. I'm sure we'll dive into that either. Maybe.
Also, I wanted to talk to you about the Amazon and Tesla hyperwaves.
Yeah, that'd be great.
We'll take a look. We'll take a look at those as well. We will see. We will take a look and debate about Bitcoin's hyperwave. Also, did we ever come to the conclusion that when does hyperwave invalidate? When it closes above the horizontal? Because when it closes above phase 6 or phase 5? Sorry, phase 6 or phase 4? I always thought that it was phase 6.
And that is kind of my perspective as well, that if we get a close above phase 6 high, that is going to be enough to invalidate it for me, because I have never seen one that did close above the phase 6 and then failed to
right
high.
Well, it's not even that. My bigger problem with it is phase 7 technically starts after phase 6. Mm-hmm. And I don't understand how that line could be sloping upwards. Like, it has to slope downwards. Agreed. So once that line goes horizontal and you close above that line, that's it. You can't have that line slope upwards.
I agree. Tyler would always just wait for the all-time high. That was just what he,
right.
That was his rule.
But they're usually so close to each other that it shouldn't really matter.
I agree.
So yeah, so we were kind of on the same page here. Looking at the hourly chart, so this hour early in the morning, man, trading GBTC is not easy, guys, because you always get these things at like the most inconvenient time. Like, why couldn't this hour be like the second or third hour of the day around noon? But that's not how markets work. Markets always flip around 10 a.m. Not always, but usually flip around 10 a.m. Speaking of markets, gold was taking a beating. What happened? Do you know?
No, I don't.
I can't explain this. I'm a little dumbfounded by this. I mean, considering what's happening in Washington, I really thought that gold would do this in the opposite direction. So I can't explain this other than this is why God created stop losses. That's basically my my only statement sometimes on some of these things, because I would have not in a million years thought that gold would be pulling back here. And like the MRI still had room and everything. That's so I don't really, yeah, I can't explain the gold situation. Bitcoin dominance starting to rise again, but clearly not enough. S&P 500 is having another bullish day. So again, I can't explain it. Like the S&P 500, it should be a little more risk off, considering, crazies can just stroll into the Capitol building. But again, there's things that I can't explain, but it's easier for me to trade something breaking all-time high. If we're breaking all-time high, what are you going to be? You're going to be short, you're going to be long. You're going to be long. So you just stay with the long trade. So the S&P is easy to explain in that you stay with the long trade. The MRI caused you some havoc. We're now above the MRI. This is a brand new week. Oh, no, today's Friday. So next week, if we start trading higher, it's full risk on, bullish. The US dollar is rising, but I think this is a dead cat bounce off the MRI daily buy that was preceded by the MRI weekly buy. And Bcash, man, it's almost there. It's almost under 1%. It's so close. I want to never look at this chart again. We have so little to go. Once this thing goes under, look at the low today. Today's low was 0.01057. Once you get a print below 0.01, that's it. I will never, ever, ever look at this chart again. Like, I won't care at all. Tone, can you take a look at HGen? They make therapeutic to combat COVID. That doesn't matter. Look, the only thing like COVID, there's only one thing that combats COVID, and that is a bullshit vaccine. I mean, nothing else matters. No cure matters. It's them vaccinating you. That's it. It's the only thing that matters. So I have my friend Hugo asking a question. He was on that live stream. I actually want to get Hugo's chart up. Socrates, you should glance at it as well. I'm gonna get it up in a second. I actually liked it. Yeah, Hugo, I got you, man. I'll answer your question. Once I'll pull up your chart though. And nope, not going there. And yeah, if you guys want to support, check out the videos. Damn, I gotta take this down. This is free now. Constructing the perfect portfolio. And that's my view. I'm just watching. I'm hoping we make another high. And if we make another high, if GBTC makes a new high today, I will take profit. It kills me how cheap the premium is. It really kills me. If the premium, normally this premium would be at 40%. It just means there's a lot of GBTC sellers out there from the lockup that ended at Christmas time. And eventually these sellers are going to go away and the GBTC premium should be spiking through the roof. And if GBTC premium was 50% today, this thing would be at $60 a share, but it's only at 46. So this is killing me. GBTC premium is only at 22%. That's very, very low. That's very low. Let me go to let me show you that chart. It's in my notifications. So I get so many messages. I get so many notifications. It gets crazy here. So Hugo has a question. And this is his chart. I'll show it to Socrates. So Hugo writes in his tweet, and he tagged me and Ugly. My model predicts a 2-pump rise to the top. Beware of the exponential white curve. We're passing it just like the pump from the first halving. There was a 75% correction after the first halving. This halving is replicating that behavior. I also said the same thing. I've also said that this year will be more similar to 2013 than 2017, but not in magnitude, because 2013 was a 100x year. 2017 was like a 20x year, something like that. It was about a 20x year. So we went from a 100x year to about a 20x year, and this year might be a 5 to 10x year in total, 5 to 10x for the year. And I say we start the year from like earlier, like from the breakout. So from say 10,000, we consolidated at 10,000 for a while. So if you take a 5 to 10x year from 10,000, that takes you between 50 and 100,000. But here's what he found. So check this out. So, I mean, we're only, we don't have a lot of data here. But what he did was he took a look at the time from the low to the halving. And both times, so this is the low to the halving. And both times it topped exactly the same number of weeks later. Happened both times.
Very interesting. I like that.
So extrapolating from the low that took place in December of 2018 to the halving, you have an idea of a potential date of where the next halving is. And the reason why I like this chart is because it provides both time and price. And then he does this curve, his exponential curve into the halving, and then just extend it further. Curve into the halving and extend the same curve further. So same thing here. So this one is less steep, this one is more steep, and this is the steepness of our current curve. And he's putting us at about 150 at the end of September, price and time. But as you can see, we didn't cross this line after the halving last time, but we went exponential past the line the first time. And I think we're going to be somewhere in between. I don't think we're going to go this exponential, but I do think now that we're breaking this line, we should top out somewhere soon, pull back past the line, and then do one more push later in the year. So I actually really like this chart.
Yeah, I like it too. One thing that's I'm kind of looking at is this first one here is connecting to a correction. So at the halving, we have it connecting to the low. And then here we have it more connecting to a high. So I would kind of be wanting to maybe just adjust.
Oh, you mean on the candle?
Right. See how that's all below that line, and here it's.
Well, but he's just connecting to the candle, like whatever the price was on the week of the halving.
Oh, okay, I see.
So it's not like he's choosing it. Like this line is on a specific week, the week of the halving. Now we can say if the week of the halving had a large candle, should we be consistent and use the bottom of the candle, the top of the candle, or the middle of the candle? But you're just connecting into the candle that took place the week of the halving.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. And yeah, I like that. I like that a lot.
So it's possible he's connecting to the very top of that candle, the top of that candle, and the top of that candle. But we can ask him. He's actually on, I'm texting with him now. Yep. I don't know if he's watching. Showing your chart on video. And then he had a specific question that he just DM'd me. Hey, Tone, hope you are good. Question to your stream. Do you believe this bull market is more similar to 2013 or 2017? I just answered that. I think it's a lot closer to 2013. And we even have a catalyst. Like in 2013, we had a banking catalyst of Cyprus banks. And now we have a catalyst of the US Capitol being invaded, again, by crazies. And this catalyst can shoot us through the roof, and then we pull back, and then there's going to be another catalyst later in the year.
Well, and I would even argue that the main catalyst is the recent money printing. We really haven't had Bitcoin while they are busy printing a ton of money. And furthermore, we also haven't had Bitcoin in a gold bull market. So having gold very bullish, and then having recent money printing, having them just stimulus checks, there's a lot of very bullish impetus. And the reason I think it's more like 2013 myself is 2017 was really run up on a lot of FUD type of news. Like the main sort of catalysts were like these forks, and people were mostly talking about blockchain, not Bitcoin. Like there was not very much bullish dialect for Bitcoin last time, whereas now it's all electronic gold, and look at the Wall Street getting in, and people are really starting to understand what it is. And then we're also in an environment where it's becoming more important to people than ever before. So I agree with you that I think that this one's going to be a little bit more like the 2013.
And also, I think a lot more people are ready to buy this dip. I think a lot more people, and we may not get a big dip because we're on the verge of Bitcoin being adopted as a currency for transactions. We're very close to stability. Once this thing goes above 100K and stays there, your small transactions are now stable. That's it. Like you can almost go and buy a cheap used car without worrying about Bitcoin volatility with Bitcoin.
Yeah, and the technology is there. Like all the places that are starting to accept it. Like when I shop on Amazon, I'm using Bitcoin. The Lightning Network is working incredibly well. So I mean, just all of it is there, and it's just waiting for it to be priced in, as far as I'm concerned. So that's, yeah, much different than 2017 as far as I'm concerned, and the other thing is that the last runs were really the main part of the last runs were just driven by like nose pickers in their mom's basement who had like 20 or 30 or 50 bucks to put into the market. That was really the majority of the crowd, which means in my mind that there is tremendous room for this thing to go up once some real money starts getting in. If you get one guy that manages, billions of dollars, that's like getting 10,000, teenagers who put in $100 or whatever. So once the ball really starts to get rolling with some of these real players, and then you get them starting to FOMO. And the other thing is the business is starting to put Bitcoin on their books. Businesses there's some that are starting to, instead of holding US dollars, holding Bitcoin. And that's going to be reflected in their stock price. And then their competitors are going to take notice. So there's just a lot of very, very bullish things that I'm seeing that really make me think this is ready for another one of those 2013 type of moves.
And the mempool is not that bad, guys. I mean, the mempool was worse in October and early November. So considering how Bitcoin is flying, it's still all hodlers. Yeah, so Hugo is predicting close to 200K. Oh, yeah. So it's an exponential chart. So that's 140 and that's 300. So that's about 200. Yeah, so he's looking at about 200K by September, which would be fucking insane.
I like that.
Which would be insane. It would be actually kind of scary.
Yeah.
It would be scary because now that we have a communist government in America, watch your money. Watch your money. Trump was a capitalist. Like, I think they're going to try to put Trump in prison because they know what Trump knows. And they can't have Trump, like, speaking in public. Like, Trump and his family are not safe. It would be bad optics if he flees to, like, Russia, like Snowden. But because he ain't going to China because China's aligned with Biden. So Putin's only like safe, like the only safety for Trump is probably Russia. It'll look bad. It will look like he was a Russian puppet while he was a president, but that's not true. He's just not safe. I think they're going to go after Trump because they have to silence Trump. I mean, Facebook already took him down. Twitter took him down. I mean, this is like, how the fuck does an American company censor the American president that 75 million Americans voted for? Guys, you are witnessing the collapse of America. You are witnessing the collapse of America. It's over. It's fucking over. And that's why Bitcoin is going to go to 200,000, and you won't even be pricing it in dollars eventually. I have no idea what you'll be pricing it in, but it won't be dollars. It's over. And it was the election. It was the election that did it. It was the fraud that did it. And it's horrible.
I think that the best way to move on from pricing it in US dollars is pricing it in some sort of
Whoa, saw.
Sweet.
We're back. That's the hourly chart. This is beautiful consolidation. We got 20 more minutes. If this gives us a brand new hourly close, that is very good. Like right now, we are looking at a brand new hourly close. And I'm still going to exit my GBTC today, if some of it. If the GBTC premium was pushing 40%, I would be out the majority of my GBTC. Look, I am incredibly bullish Bitcoin right now. I'm still behind on Willy Woo's newsletter. I texted Willy Woo. Hopefully I can get him on this weekend as well. But I'm very bullish, but I'm not going to mess with the daily MRI. And the daily MRI is coming in on Sunday. And I may risk it. I'm going to risk at least half of my GBTC position into Monday. But I am looking for a short-term top, a 1 to 4 candle correction, and then one more push. Guys, I could be underestimating the push. This could go into 60K. But this next push is going to be the equivalent, or I'm just going to go back to Hugo's chart, is going to be the equivalent of this, but I don't think it's going to go that high. 60K, my maximum here. What do you think?
Yeah, I try not to think too much about the maximum moves because whenever I do that, it seems to always surprise me. So in these situations, I'm more trying to like think about what could be possible, and just trying to keep my mind open to that. My current target is 44,000 by the 14th, maybe the 13th of this month, and that is due to the hyperwave fractal on there. So
right. So as you say that, so let me just pull that up. So we're going to go to a shorter term chart, or go to the daily chart. So Socrates is looking for a potential of 44,000. Mm-hmm. I'm going to put a line there. So Socrates is considering 44,000 on the 13th or 14th, which is here. But that's in line with my MRI, which I'm expecting on the 11th, on Sunday. So today is the 8th, 9th, on 10th, sorry, Sunday the 10th. And you're looking at 12th, 13th, 14th, right? Yep. So we're kind of in line. Now, I think that is also a reasonable target. 45,000 was like my bubble target from like last year onto this year. Yeah. That's all in line. But I see that as being a short-term correction with one more push into the end of January to align with the weekly MRI, which has 3 more weeks to go. So that 44K is my short-term pullback for one more push as high as 60 by end of January. And that's my high target. Now, if we get that, if we end up doing it, I should probably graph that out on a 4-hour chart. You're liking that 4-hour chart right there.
Oh yeah, loving it.
So if we map that out on a 4-hour chart, because we're only talking the rest of the month, which is still somewhat highish, right? So if we map that out on a 4-hour chart, we're talking a move on a 4-hour chart into 44,000. Let's split the middle here. Let's do the 12th of January. It's kind of in between your days and my days. Cool. Okay. and that's 45,000, 45, 44, same thing. Now, then I would be looking for a 1 to 4 day correction into the 20th, and then from the 20th, probably from the $35,000 area, maybe this top here. Where is that? 35. I can see a pullback to 35, and then a push into 60 by end of month, giving us that blow off top. And now I just need a red line here. So on a 4-hour scale, I am eyeing something like this. And then this would align with a weekly MRI top. It would also align nicely with a move in the next 3 weeks to get us high enough above this white line, similar to what happened in 2013, with a bigger snapback.
That makes a lot of sense to me, and that's kind of what I am expecting, where you are looking for that pullback. That's where I'm thinking it would be a good time for like an ABC correction down to the
right
mid-high
now
20s.
this pullback may not be this severe. I mean, I'm kind of, the reason why I drew it down to 35 is because I think that is a good support. But then the question is, if we have a blow off top all the way to 60K in January, that can spell trouble. That can spell a 60% correction before, and then everyone gets fucked. And I'm using a 4-hour chart here. I can't go left anymore. Oh, now I can. And then it gets really interesting. And then it starts to get really interesting. This is that push into September. Now, this is going to be a slower push. I don't think it will be a crazy push. This will be a slower push. Because these are basically fractals.
Mm-hmm.
And this could go all the way to 100,000 or 200,000.
Could you throw on the weekly real quick? Let's see. So yeah, that last consolidation that we got in there, that would be
here.
The lowest that I would
right.
See.
So this here, this is also this. So this was hyperwave wave 7.
Yeah.
Ish. I'm on a weekly scale, right?
Yes.
No, it's not hyperwave waves. Yeah, that's pretty much wave 7. I should have done it from there, but this was a trend line actually. So now this trend line's been broken. I don't really want to move the trend line, to be honest with you, because I need that trend line break. But now I'm going to do a horizontal. And this is that ultimate pullback. This is the ultimate pullback. If we can get this pullback, it doesn't matter from where we're going to go to this pullback. This is the ultimate pullback. If we do realize 45 or 60 and then 35 or whatever, if we get this pullback, oh boy, that would be awesome, because off this pullback, we're talking 100K easy, probably more, probably all the way to 2. If we can get this pullback, especially this year, it's a big pullback though.
It is. That would
it's still a big pullback, but we may miss it. We may not get to it actually.
And so that's where I would be looking for a potential ABC type of correction off of the phase 4 to give us kind of that 5, 6, 7 appearance that pulls back down to this area. That's the main thing I'm trading for, and we'll be having orders there. And if it doesn't pull back to that, that's one thing I'm going to keep in very much in the front of my mind. Could you scroll over to 2016? because when we broke through that high last time, it never once came back.
Well, that was my problem.
So
that
right
was
there, yep.
I really, it was this exponential move was just too much.
Mm-hmm.
And I really wanted this move to come back and test it, and it never did. And that's why I was always concerned about this $1,300 area. But people forget that these were my targets when Bitcoin was still $14,000, $15,000. I have to make this big screen. People forget that I had target 1 at 5. Target 2 was 3. We hit target 2. We're off by $100.
Mm-hmm.
This was my third and final target. That wasn't my first target. That was my third target, assuming the other 2 have fallen. Those were my first 2 targets. And it's possible we never see 20,000 again. It's possible that, and at that point, you got to look at the difference here. This was the prior high, like this 1100 to 1350 zone. And I would do this. That was 160% above that line, above the prior high. I would raise it a little bit because of Mt. Gox. It was about 1240 was the high. And the low was about there. So that is 150% flat. So if history repeats, we would stay 150% above this line. Whoa, that's actually quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got a long way to go. That's 150. So considering how much higher the prices are, I think 150 is maybe 50% above. That puts us at 30,000. But we don't know where this is going to end. Right. It's possible if this goes all the way up to 60,000, which is a possibility, as we just discussed, because we're going up too far too fast now, which opens the door for a $60,000 top, not 44, not 44, 45 top. Because it doesn't look like it's stopping today either. It looks like it's going to pump through the weekend. So if we go to 60K, I can see us holding 30K. I can see us not falling more than 50%. Or up to 75% here, which puts us at 35,000. So there could easily be a gap here.
That's what's in the front of my mind. Could you go back to earlier and let's take a look. How far did it get above the prior all-time high before it finally did correct? And then how much was
Good
that
question
correction right there?
Let's go find out. Yeah, this was my very first top call based on MRI. It wasn't MRI back then, but the first time I ever looked at, I don't want to say the word, due to other concerns. But the first time I ever looked at these indicators that I now use all the time was this week. And I was just doing a video and I already had my own version and I was using it for stocks. And I literally I was on a stream. It was that week, first week of June. And I literally say, hey guys, you're going to have no idea what indicator I'm about to look at, but I'm just curious because this felt like a certain number of candles. And I opened it up and I'm like, oh shit, you got to get out. And I made this top call. It was one of my best calls. So let's see how far we got. I believe this is my line. Yep. And we can look at that.
2x.
I'm going to go from this high. I'm going to go from this high break.
Okay.
130. So a little over 2x.
So that would put us around 45.
Around exactly where we are now, 130% above.
And then how much did that correct? Maybe 30%?
And that corrected about 40.
40, okay.
So I got to flip this arrow over. Hold on. So that was 130% above, followed by a 40% correction. So I will go to present day. We're going to take the 20K break, which is here. And we're going to go 130% up to match. We're not there yet. We have room. Puts us right at 45, man. Yeah. Right at 45. And then if there is a 40% correction, that would take us down to 28.
So that's what I'm looking for, is this phase 4 to get us right around that 45, an ABC correction down to about 28. And I'm still of the opinion that this isn't actually moving up too hard, too fast. Just kind of comparing to the prior action, it seems like this is pretty reasonable, and that we could even just continue accelerating. If this is phase 2 of a hyperwave, which I'm convinced that it is myself, then this should be the least, the least, have the least amount of velocity, and it should continue to accelerate at a higher angle. So I'm thinking it's still healthy, and if we can, keep moving up to around that 44, 45 and pull down to 28, that'll be what I'm trading for, and then just trying to figure out where, what I need to be protected against, and that throwback to the all-time high or that no correction. Those are the two things that I'm trying to guard against, I guess.
All right, let me go through some of your super chats, guys. Tone, can you look at HGen? Oh yeah, I never looked at it. I'm just gonna look at it real quick. I can't wait till this is below 1%. This is Bcash.
Wow.
There's absolutely no hope for this thing. There's none.
Absolutely beautiful.
Let me see. HGen. I'm sure it's doing well. And this is the daily chart.
Like a nice
Beautiful flag. MRI top right there, a little pullback. You got the buy signal as well. I would be bullish here on a daily scale. Beautiful tops right there. Boom,
That's
boom.
Perfect big W.
Yeah, and
now turning into a
beautiful pullback right to the prior swing high. And it wasn't very liquid before. It's liquid now. And I think this thing has more upside. We can look at the weekly chart, probably not much there. And I'm kind of bullish, just got to break this resistance line. Again, you had a beautiful combination of a weekly top the week of July 13, and the daily on July 13 was right there, July 8. So here's your, this is a bit of a double top. So this is where you got to be careful. Like, I'm a big fan of this. This is why trading is not easy. Normally, I would love this breakout right here. I would love it. Mm-hmm. Like, if you were looking at this and that daily candle is breaking out, I mean, that's a beautiful buying opportunity, and it's a green star on the MRI. Like, this is a screaming buy, but here's your problem. This is happening on July 28th. And you were just coming off a weekly MRI top in July, right here. So, no, it's March, sorry. Where's July? Here. So you're just coming off a weekly MRI top, so you got to be careful a little bit. I probably still would have bought in. Look at this weekly breaking out as well. I probably would have bought in, but I would have been out very quickly with a stop loss, because I know I'm going against the weekly MRI top. It did have its one candle correction. This red star would have taken me out. So it's a little bit rough, but then you had a beautiful buying opportunity right there with the MRI. Granted, the trade probably didn't do very well. This would have been hard to trade, but I'm bullish this thing right now. You?
Yeah, that's a picture perfect big W for me. And it's in a spot where I would be looking to enter if that daily is looking like a bull flag, and I would be interested in that on this pullback here.
All right, I'm looking at your, hey, thank you for the super chats, guys. I'm just going through them now. Hey, Tone, to what percentage is your decision to sell your HODL in the event of a blow off top in the 40K to 50K range, divided between personal circumstances, TA, fundamentals? That's a great question. Like, if I'm considering selling a piece of my HODL between 40 and 50K, how is that divided between personal circumstance, TA, and fundamental? It is, I'm actually not, it's almost none of those. Fundamentally, don't sell a single Satoshi. Personally, I don't earn any Bitcoin. Everyone pays me in dollars. So, I mean, personally, there's no reason to sell. fundamentally, there's no reason to sell. TA, TA itself is not a reason to sell HODL. TA is to trade a piece of your HODL. So none of those. The only reason to sell some HODL is if you really feel it's gone up too far too fast. And I wouldn't sell at 45, but if we hit 60 this month, I would consider it.
Yeah, it's definitely a good question. And for myself, I entered my HODL with a time target. So I decided that no matter what the price is, I'm not going to be selling any of the HODL until 10 years after I entered, because that was my game plan. So it would have to be a big, emergency personal sort of circumstance that caused me to do that. But for anybody out there listening to this, keep in mind the age-old wisdom from J.P. Morgan, who just said, "Sell until you can sleep." When you are, heavily invested in a HODL, and then the market does what it just did, you can find yourself being really uncomfortable about how much you now have, and the increase of the price means that your allocations are now very different. And if you're not feeling comfortable holding on to the HODL position, because now it is so much more percentage of your net worth than it was before, then just sell a little bit till you can sleep. Just go sell 10% and see how that makes you feel, because really feeling uncomfortable, it's going to be really, really hard to hold through a multi-year bull market. And that is going to be something that if you just take 5%, 10% here and there when you're really feeling uncomfortable, that's going to be a big help. But where a lot of people go wrong is they sell too much. Say they sell 50% or more of their HODL at 40, 50K, and then they don't get back in when they think they're going to get back in at 30 or 25, and then they don't, and then the market's at 60 before they know it, and now they're sitting there without the Bitcoin and having to buy back higher. So don't sell too much of the HODL, but also don't keep it all if you're just feeling super uncomfortable. That would be my opinion.
Yeah, and you saw my retirement account earlier, and I was deciding, at which point do I take my profit that I've made over the last 3 weeks? Mm-hmm. It's a decent chunk, and that chunk matters.
Yeah, and I was telling you myself that for me as a trader, the hardest part about trading for me is holding through holding onto the big profit when it can just disappear in the blink of an eye, but you also know that you shouldn't be anything due to your system or due to the trend or whatever the case may be. That's where I find it very, very, very hard. And like Tone says time and time again, and I'll always agree that trading is very, very, very hard. And think about how hard it is when you're on the wrong side of the market. I think it's even harder when you get on the right side of the market to really manage that trade as well as you can and not fumble it somewhere along the way.
They're saying Tyler is quiet. I should put the mic over here.
Yeah.
And then we'll both be able to be on the mic. Okay,
perfect.
That should be better. Also, we had another good question. At what price point would you expect Bitcoin to stop its regular boom and bust cycles? I feel like eventually these boom and bust cycles will stop since everyone is looking at them. I think this 4 year into the next halving, I think this is the last great boom and bust cycle, because I think the collapse of the United States is coming within the next 4 years now. I'm very pessimistic on America. And I think this could be the last boom and bust cycle, because after this one, as long as people start using Lightning, it won't matter anymore. Your little transactions won't matter. If this 4 year halving cycle takes Bitcoin to above $250,000, that's pretty much it. From there, what's another doubling? It will only matter to those that have more than a few Bitcoin.
Yeah, that's something that I think that we're going to continue the boom and bust cycles as long as Bitcoin continues the halving. Once it's done, once it's worked its way through that, then I think we could see a different cycle. The main thing that I always think of that's in the front of my mind all the way through is how could we have the same thing happen again when the Bitcoin halves and then you go on this massive run and then everybody knows that it's going to happen. That's where you really start to feel like, man, too many people are on this.
But also keep in mind that 4 years from now, it's very possible Bitcoin is used as what Roger Ver describes as cash. I mean, he's going to blow his whole gasket, right? Like he's been on this whole bandwagon. It needs to be used. It needs to be used. Everyone is just hoarding it, which is why the mempool transactions are still pretty cheap. But 4 years from now, everyone could pay each other with Lightning because the US dollar is fucking shit. So that's would create stability of the floor, because now everyone is actually using it, giving it more stability. So once we cross that, but it's a fundamental threshold. It's not a, I mean, Bitcoin needs a higher overall market cap. There needs to be more value on chain. One Bitcoin needs to be over $250,000 in order for it to have a shot to be used as money. Like, enough people need to know how to use it, need to accept it, need to learn Lightning, and a high price of Bitcoin and an expensive transaction will force them into Lightning. So this is why the Bcash and Roger are so stupid, because Bitcoin will become a day-to-day currency. But two things need to happen first. One, it needs to have a huge price value so that there is enough, Bitcoin in velocity. And two, people need to stop using the US dollar. And I think both of those things can happen in this cycle, and that would give it stability.
Yeah, I agree with you. And there's a really
probably should have done this without screen share, but yeah,
that's all right.
This little rant.
There's a great article out there from Tyler Jenks, who went into the value that Bitcoin would need to be priced at in order for it to be a global currency. And in my opinion, for the current cycles that we've been seeing, the boom and bust, and to move into a more stabilized environment, we would need a full-on country to adopt it and say that we are backing our money with Bitcoin. And that is going to be what I'd be looking for, as Tone's talking about losing faith in America and the dollar. And I'm, very much can understand where he's coming from. And if the US really does lose its power and it really does collapse, it's going to be through the dollar. The dollar is what gives the US the power, as far as I believe. And if that really does happen, then the world's going to need to replace it. And Tyler always talked about how Bretton Woods happened in like a week. You had 1 week, there was no Bretton Woods or anything like that. And then they have all these guys come in, meet in a dark room, and then in a week, everything has changed. So he always talked about how it could just be in the blink of an eye, they decide that they're going to back the money with Bitcoin. And then the value would have to reflect that in an enormous way. So therefore, until a country is backing their currency with Bitcoin, or enough companies across the world have Bitcoin on their books, I think that we're going to be seeing the same cycles as long as the halving is still driving the price action for, as far as I can tell anyways.
Yeah, and we have a couple of other really good questions here from Fibbo Swani, for example. With so much institutional buying and companies putting Bitcoin on balance sheets, how can a 70% correction happen? Just curious. So I think it's more likely for a 70% correction to happen with companies putting all this Bitcoin on balance sheets, because they're not active traders. So by them putting their Bitcoin on balance sheets and holding it for a long period of time, they're taking Bitcoin out of circulation and they're putting it into storage, which means there's less Bitcoin in circulation. Like right now, especially with what happened with the new regulation and people are taking their Bitcoin off exchanges, there's probably 5 to 10% of all Bitcoin is responsible for 100% of Bitcoin's price discovery. So when you have a small percentage of your Bitcoin being used as price discovery, that could create giant swings.
Absolutely. And I firmly believe that the guys that are just now getting into Bitcoin are going to have to be tested like we all were. You don't just get into Bitcoin and put Bitcoin on your books and then just hold it and everything's good. No, you're going to have to hold it through some terrifying crashes where all of your clients are calling you and telling you, what the hell are you doing in Bitcoin? And like until they're able to survive that, they're not going to actually be able to keep Bitcoin on the books for the long term, as far as I'm concerned. So I think that no matter who's holding it, no matter where they're holding it, the market is going to test them
and it's going to test those guys that are that have clients and responsibilities. They're going to feel that test much more than just somebody like myself who's at home trading my own money.
People are saying the 1 hour chart has an inverse cup and handle. I don't see it. I don't know where they're seeing that.
No. Not seeing that.
I don't see that either. So look, I can't talk about Bitcoin privacy. It can get me in trouble. Sorry, I can't answer that question. What else we got? Hey guys, we're gonna end the stream. We're gonna bring you another stream when Joe Saz gets here, and hopefully Fibbo, come on, man, you gotta come. You gotta come down. Okay. Hey guys, we still have 1,000 people watching, so we're getting good numbers here. It's disappointing what happened to the American system, the American way of life. It's pretty much over. And if you're holding Bitcoin, you should be happy. But if you're holding Bitcoin as an American, you should also feel a little scared. Hence, I'm a little scared, and I'm not comfortable with what's happening in this country. And I'm making other arrangements because what happened. And I was in front of the Capitol when all of that went down. So I'm still on this political bandwagon. I'm basically given up. Biden is your president. Say hello to Chinese Communist Party sock puppet that's going into the White House. And when he hands off the reins to Kamala Harris, oh boy. I say you have 2 years. It's a 2-year window before full socialism takeover. The Democrats have also taken over the Senate, 50%ish. I don't think a Republican, maybe a Republican will win again, only if it's a Republican that goes with the socialist agenda. They control the voting machines. It's over. It was proven. To me, it was proven. So I don't want to be in a country that has that kind of election fraud. So I will be making my way out, and maybe I'll be doing but I won't be explaining how I'm doing that until after it all happens, which could take several years. But you have 2 years, and the reason why you have 2 years is because Biden can't hand over the presidency to Kamala for 2 years. So he can, but he won't, because if he hands it over to her after being president for 2 years, she can be president for 10 years. She can finish his term and then run for 2 re-elections. And if he hands it over to her next year, she can only run 1 more time. And they will make sure she wins.
And I'll just provide a little bit of positive perspective, as I always try to look for that. And I believe it's always the darkest before the sun shines, and that potentially the way of life that I have seen in America over the last 30 years may be over. And maybe it's a good thing, because I have not really been liking the direction that things have been heading, and it takes a paradigm shift for the status quo to ever change. And we have never seen the haves and the have-nots get so diverged and diverted. And it's going to be a situation where you have to have things really shaken up before anything will change. And what I've noticed is that the way of life in my area is actually improving. And I can say that confidently because I live in a very small town that is a close-knit community. Like we've got, the food comes from farmers that live next door, and we're very self-sufficient, and the neighborhoods are coming together. People are really, the community is becoming much more close-knit and tighter. And I do think that the way of life, that there's going to be a max exodus from these big cities that are way overpriced and that really latch on to these liberal liberal morals, like New York, San Francisco. If you're living there, you're going to have a much different perspective than somebody like me who's a hillbilly out in the sticks in a 15,000 person town. So I do think that we're going to see a resurgence of communities that are built around what people believe in, and I do think that divided we fell. I mean, we are divided so much that we have fallen, that potentially what we see is the heart of the country kind of coming together, the Republican morals separating from the rest. I can see a lot happening, and I want to do my best to just be positive, because I know that it is always the darkest before the sun shines. And if we just do our best to move forward and come together and be together as a community, then there's going to be a lot of good that comes from this.
Right. No, it's very well said. And I can't live in a little tiny community. That's not my lifestyle. So mine's a little bit different. But the other thing I was going to say was, look, politics are important for your finances. They're very, very important. So I know you guys hate the fact that I talk politics, but and everyone still makes fun of how wrong I was about the price of Bitcoin being this high at this point. But I also did not anticipate the complete clown show that was the US election. I fully anticipated Trump winning in the greatest landslide in history, which I believe he did. But I also believe that the election was stolen from him. And that changed everything. I don't think Bitcoin is rising because, Michael Saylor bought, or it's rising because of the halving. Yes, they contribute to it. But this exponential rise in Bitcoin from 20,000 to 42,000 in the blink of an eye, I contribute 80% of that move to the political clown show that is taking place, because people no longer have trust in the American political system, which in turn kills their trust in the US economic system, which in turn makes them scared what happens to their money. And they see Bitcoin as an alternative. And Michael Saylor is an example of that. He's scared what to do with his dollars and is buying Bitcoin. If everything in the US economic system was going great, he wouldn't be buying Bitcoin. And everything in the US economic system would have been doing great if this COVID scare then wasn't used to get rid of Trump. Like, these are all domino effects. The push by the globalists to lock everyone in their basements for COVID allowed mail-in voting, which led to ridiculous fraud that got Trump out of office, that led to ridiculous money printing. They're all connected. They're not independent events. All that money was printed because all those businesses were destroyed. All those people lost their jobs, leading to money printing. But that was a political event. COVID is not that deadly. It's not more deadly than the flu. A little bit more, maybe 20% more deadly than the flu. But the world should not have been shut down. This money should never have been printed. And it was all a political agenda. So it all goes back to politics. So it does matter. And this is why I cannot be any more bullish on Bitcoin, but we also have socialists and communists taking over the US. So they will arrest you if they think you have money, because communists always go for your money. This is why it's time to get the fuck out. This is the Soviet Union that my parents left. They don't see it that way, though. They don't want me to leave, but I have to.
Yeah, if you feel that strongly in your heart, then I encourage you to follow that. And I think, like I said when we were on the election stream, that a lot of people talk about leaving the country after an election, and nobody ever does it. And you're the guy that will do it, and I really respect you for that.
All right. One last thing: the funding rate. People are saying not to look at the daily funding rate, to look more at the 15-minute, but I'm like, 15-minute doesn't do much for me. We can take a look at the 1 hour funding rate. I think I have it up. The funding rate is actually dropping, which is encouraging for one more push to the upside. Looks like the funding rate topped at 1,300 yesterday, and then it topped again at 600 this morning. So let's see what that implies. 1,300 yesterday. That's 1300 yesterday. That was that peak before the big crash. That's 1300 yesterday. And then again at 600 this morning, which was right there to start the consolidation. So this is very positive. Funding rate has been dropping every hour since then, and we're consolidating. I think the breakout's coming.
Yeah, I'm mostly paying attention to the premium in the futures, and that is remaining as bullish as it could be. It hasn't really even spiked at all. So until I get a big spike in the funding or a medium spike with a significant contango in the futures, then that's what I'm going to be paying attention to. For I would be thinking, yeah, it's looking good for another push.
Okay, I have my line set at 0.11. Someone was asking, I don't like the daily funding rate. The daily funding rate is spiking. We've just had a new high. We certainly have contango. We have a high funding rate. We have high contango. The daily version is concerning a little bit to me.
Yeah, it's like we've been eating through these premiums recently. Each time it's spiked up here, price really has not reacted too much. So yeah,
but this is also why I think this is ending this weekend, which is also why I'm looking to get out of my GBTC today. And we have 3 more hours to do it. So I want this last push into, 42.5, 43,000 in the next 3 hours. And that would give me my GBTC exit, even though I'm very pissed about how low the premium is. But I don't want to take a risk into the weekend. I'm going to take some of my profit.
Yeah, I think that seems like a good call.
And I'll just wait for the pullback. Even if we're going higher next week, I think next week's the top. A short-term top. It could be a 1 to 4 candle correction, but I wish the MRI top was happening in the middle of the week and not on Sunday. I really wish I can slide these numbers back, but I can't. It's not how trading works. So I really wish this was the MRI top today, and it would be a no-brainer. Even if the GBTC premium was 0, it would be a no-brainer for me. But I'm probably going to take some profit today no matter what. And after this, I'm going to open up my trading account. All right, we got to get this. We got other shit to do. And I got 3 days of a week of work to catch up on, guys. May or may not do a video tonight. If nothing crazy happens, we're probably not doing a video tonight, but tomorrow when Joe Saz gets in, we'll bring you guys another video.
Sweet. Can't
wait. Sounds good. All right.
Cheers, everyone.